beginning, nothing moved. Darkness covered everything. But then the voice of God broke through, a whisper wrapped in majesty. Let there be light, he thundered out, and from his word the light obeyed. He drew a line between night and dawn, and evening passed and morning came. He speaks and creation rises, he breathes and the void becomes alive. From nothing to beauty, from chaos to order, the word of God brings worlds to life. Holy is the God of creation, the maker of earth and sky. For by his voice all things were formed, by his power everything thrives. The waters bowed before his throne, he stretched the heavens like a sheet. He carved the oceans, lifted skies, his craftsmanship is pure and deep. He set the boundaries for the seas, told storms how far the waves may go. Creation listened to his call, for every element he wove. And from the waters rose the land, mountains towering toward his light. Fields and forests spread like paint across the canvas of the night. Grass and seed and fruitful trees, life bursting from his sovereign hand. He marked the seasons, days and years, with sun and moon to light the land. He speaks and creation rises, he breathes and the void becomes alive. From nothing to beauty, from chaos to order, the word of God brings worlds to life. Holy is the God of creation, the maker of earth and sky. For by his voice all things were formed, by his power everything thrives. He filled the oceans with their swarms, great creatures moving through the deep. Birds took flight across the sky, their wings a song of majesty. Livestock grazed upon the earth, wild beasts ran free across the plain. From creeping things to mighty herds, all breathed the life his hands ordained. Then God said, let us make man in our image, by our hand. So from the dust he formed a life, and breathed his spirit into man. He blessed them, gave them stewardship, the earth beneath, the sky above. On day 6, creation stood, complete in power, truth and love. He speaks and creation rises, he breathes and eternity begins. From nothing to something, from formless to fullness, the universe bowed to his will. Holy is the God of creation, worthy of eternal praise. For everything that lives today was spoken into life by his glorious name. And on the 7th day he rested, not from weakness but to show that all he made was very good, a world crafted by the one who simply spoke. Ooh, yeah. Before the rain had touched the ground, before a seed had grown, a mist rose up and kissed the earth, and life was yet unknown. Then you formed a man from the dust of the land, with the breath of heaven inside. And Adam opened up his eyes to a world you made alive. You breathed into dust, and the dust became a man. You planted planted a garden by your gentle holy hand. In Eden's rising sunrise, you walked with him in love. Oh, the God who shapes creation with a whisper from above. You placed him there in paradise, where every river flows. Pigeon, Guion, Tigris, Euphrates as it grows. And you said, son, guard this garden. Every tree is yours to try, but the tree of knowing good and evil, touch it and you'll die. Still you saw his loneliness and said he needs a friend. So you brought the beasts before him, and he named them one by one. You breathed into dust, and the dust became a man. But love was still missing from the beauty of your plan. So you laid him down in slumber, and from rib and holy art, you crafted him a woman, bone of bone and heart to heart. Now flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone, no longer two but one, never walking alone. The garden watched in wonder as they stood in innocent grace, unashamed in their glory before sin touched their place. You breathed into dust, and the dust learned how to sing. You planted a story that would grow into a king. In the cool of the evening, you walked with them as friends. So the God who made the garden will restore it once again. Garden was whole, every tree overflowing with life for the soul. God walked with his children, no shadow, no fear, till a whisper of cunning drew dangerously near. Did God really say? The serpent began twisting the truth at the heart of his plan. Eve saw the fruit, how pleasant, how wise, and reach for the promise that came with disguise. Oh, Eden, how the silence breaks when innocence trembles and paradise shakes. One taste of the fruit, one breath gone wrong, and the world learns the weight of the difference between right and wrong. Oh, Eden, your gates begin to close, and the story of grace starts its long unfolding road. Their eyes came open, the shame rushed in. They covered themselves, first sign of sin. God's footsteps thundered like truth through the leaves. Where are you, Adam? What have you done, Eve? Blame passed around, but the verdict was sure. The ground would be cursed, life harder than before. Yet even in judgment, a promise was sown, a future redeemer the serpent would know. Oh, Eden, how the The light of redemption was born that day. From the fall of man to the throne above, this is the story of justice and love. Oh, oh, Eden. 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 Oh, two brothers rose with the morning light. One worked the soil, one watched the sheep at night. Each brought an offering from their own way. One found favor, the other turned gray. A shadow grew in Cain's restless chest, jealousy whispering, stealing his rest. The Lord said, if you do right, you'll be lifted high. But sin is waiting at your door, wanting to draw you inside. Oh, wanting a mercy, a chance to change. But anger was louder than grace. Oh, Cain, what have you done? The ground cries out with your brother's blood. The first heartbreak of the human race, when envy rose where love once was. Oh, Cain, the story cuts so deep, but even in judgment, God still speaks. Out in the field, when no one saw, the first violence shattered the peace of God. The Lord called out, where is Abel your brother? And Cain replied, am I the keeper of others? The curse fell heavy on the work of his hands, a wanderer now across the land. Yet the Lord in mercy marked him safe, a shield of protection, a sign of grace. Even in darkness, love still remained, a hint of redemption through human pain. Oh, Cain, what have you done? The ground cries out with your brother's blood. The first heartbreak of the human race, when envy rose where love once was. Oh, Cain, your sorrow fills the earth, but God still shows us what mercy's worth. Then life went on, though stained with grief, and Adam and Eve held a newborn peace. A son named Seth, a promise renewed, hope rising again as the people grew. Oh, we didn't feel so far behind, but grace keeps threading through every line. From Cain and Abel to every heart, God's mercy meets us where we are. Okay, what have you done? The ground cries out with your brother's blood. The first heartbreak of the human race, when envy rose where love once was. Okay, your sorrow fills the earth, but God still shows us what mercy's worth. From Adam came a story, oh, a line of hearts and hands to hold. Through Seth the generations rise, a family living under skies, each life a spark, a passing flame. A father calls his children's names, but every page repeats the cry. And after years, the man would die. But even as the years rolled on, through every age, through every dawn, the breath of God still lit their way, a hope that never slipped away. Walk with God through every day, through every rise, through every fade, in every life, in every time, His love still reaches down the line. Walk with God like Enoch did, and find the life that never ends. Enoch walked with God so close, a whisper shared a holy oath. No shadow touched his final breath. God took him home, he tasted rest. And Noah came with hopeful eyes, a comfort for the weary cries, a child of promise born to be a sign of mercy yet to see. Pass like waves, names carved in time, but still God saves. Through every life, through joy or strife, He writes redemption into life. Walk with God through every day, through every rise, through every fade, in every life, in every time, His love still reaches down the line. Walk with God like Enoch did, and find the life that never ends. Wickedness arose like a flood through the land. Every thought of man was evil in God's eyes again. The earth was corrupt, every heart gone astray. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with a man, but one man stood righteous in a world gone wrong. Noah walked with God while the rest walked on. Grace broke through in the darkest place. God remembered Noah and showed him grace. Build the ark, God said, for judgment's on the way. Make it strong, make it wide, for the flood will wash away. But I'll make my covenant, my promise stands true. When the waters rise high, I'll be with you, I'll be with you. Yeah. Violence covered earth like a shadow in the night, but God gave Noah plans, measurements set right. Go for wood beams, 3 levels inside. Every creature 2 by 2 would come before the tide. For the world was doomed by the sins it chose, yet hope still lived through the one God chose. Judgment was coming, but mercy led the way, a door of salvation before the rain. Build the ark, God said, for judgment's on the way. Make it strong, make it wide, for the flood will wash away. But I'll make my covenant, my promise stands true. When the waters rise high, I'll be with you, I'll be with you. God still speaks. Grace for the humble, wrath for the weak, and Noah obeyed every word God gave, preparing a place where the faithful are saved. Build the ark, God said, for judgment's on the way. Make it strong, make it wide, for the flood will wash away. But my covenant stands, my word is true. When the world falls apart, "40 days were coming, the warning had been spoken. God told Noah, take your family, for my covenant is open. Clean beasts by sevens, the creatures 2 by 2. Rain was on its way, and every word God said was true. The door stood waiting on that massive wooden frame. Judgment in the clouds, but mercy in His name. While the world kept living like nothing was wrong, Noah stepped inside, obedience kept strong. When the floodgates opened and the skies broke wide, waters rose higher, no place left to hide. But God shut the door, His promise sealed them in, a refuge in the storm, while the world drowned in sin. The fountains of the deep burst forth from below. Darkness filled the sky, winds began to blow. Mountains disappeared under waters deep and wide. Every living thing perished far and wide. But Noah and the ark, held safe by God's hand, floated on the waters above the buried land. Judgment had fallen, but grace remained afloat. Life preserved inside that wooden bowl. When the floodgates opened and the skies broke wide, waters rose higher, no place left to hide. But God shut the door, His promise sealed them in, a refuge in the storm, while the world drowned in sin. The world was silent, nothing left but waves. Yet God remembered Noah, the one who saves. Drifting through the chaos, the covenant held strong, a melody of mercy in a world gone wrong. When the floodgates opened and the skies broke wide, waters rose higher, but Noah survived. For God shut the door, His love was within, grace carried the faithful when the storm began. Water slowly falling after judgment's heavy roar. The ark rests on the mountains, on Ararat's silent shore. 40 days of waiting, watching clouded skies turn clear. Noah sends the raven flying, but it never settles near. Hope on the horizon, after endless nights of rain. A whisper in the stillness, life will rise again. When the flood fades, mercy remains. God remembers His people through the storm and the waves. And when the deep breaks, grace never dies. There's a promise in the quiet when the waters subside. He sends the dove out gently, but it finds no place to rest. Returns unto the window, sheltered safe within the nest. Again he waits with patience, 7 days, then sends her wide. She brings back an olive leaf, hope alive on every side. New earth is emerging, under sunlight breaking through. Every sign is whispering, God is faithful, God is true. When the flood fades, mercy remains. God remembers His people through the storm and the waves. And when the deep breaks, grace never dies. There's a promise in the quiet when the waters subside. And Noah steps into the world again, a cleansed, renewed, forgiven land. And worship rises like the dawn, for judgment past and hope lives on. When the flood fades, mercy remains. God remembers His people through the storm and the waves. And when the deep breaks, grace never dies. There's a promise in the quiet when the waters subside. A covenant forming in the sky, a world rebuilt beneath God's eyes. The storm has passed, the world made new, the earth washed clean with heaven's dew. Noah and his son step on the land, fresh soil breathing in God's plan. A blessing spoken from the throne, be fruitful now, go fill your home. The fear of man on beasts will fall, provision given, life for all. A world reborn beneath the light, mercy stronger than the night. And in the sky, a promise shines, God's covenant in colored lines. Never again will waters rise to flood the earth or drown mankind. His bow of grace, His vow so true, a love that reaches through the blue. God teaches them what life should be, respect for blood, for dignity. Justice guarded, life defined by God who made all humankind. Sons of Noah spread abroad, nations forming under God. The world resets, the story starts, a rainbow sealed within their hearts. A world renewed beneath the light, God won't turn away. And in the sky, a promise shines, God's covenant in colored lines. Never again will waters rise to wash away all humankind. His bow of grace still speaks today, a faithful God who makes a way. Shem, Ham, Japheth, three roots in brand new soil. From them came nations spreading out after the turmoil. Japheth's line moved outward, coastlands far and wide. Sailors of the nations, peoples by the tides. One family tree, but branches reaching far. Different lands, different tongues under one God. Nations spread out, families grow, from mountain valleys to seas below. One world rising from one home, Genesis 10, every nation is known. Sons built kingdoms, cities full of pride. Cush, Mizraim put, and Canaan on the side. Nimrod rose as mighty, a hunter bold and strong. He built Babel, Nineveh, his reach was long. Though the earth was broad and vast, all stories point to the past. Nations spread out, families grow, across the plains where wild winds blow. One world rising from one home, Genesis 10, every nation is known. Oh, 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 oh. 70 nations, 7 dozen roots. One God watching over every tribe and every root. From Noah's sons to every land, a world held in the Father's hand. Nations spread out, families grow, from mountain valleys to seas below. One world rising from one home, Genesis 10, every nation is known. One language, one people, moving east across the plains. They settled down in Shinar, where ambition stoked their flames. Let's build a tower to heaven, every voice began to say. Let's make a name for ourselves, so we're never swept away. But unity without God becomes a fragile, shaken thing. For hearts that rise in pride forget who formed them from the clay. And the Lord came down, saw the tower rising high, a monument of glory built beneath the fading sky. was pulling them toward again. Confusion sweeps the city, every voice a foreign sound. Bricks fall from trembling hands as every tongue divides the ground. Families gather helpless, searching where their kin have gone. Shiner's dream is broken, but God's purpose moves along. For even in the scattering, His promise lives unshaken. A world divided now, but still a world He won't forsake. And the Lord came down, saw the tower rising high, a monument of glory built beneath the fading sky. He scattered every tongue, turned their speech into the wind. For mercy stops the ruin, pride was pulling them toward again. Across the earth they traveled, nations blooming far and wide. But one line held a blessing God would carry through the tide. From Shem down to Abram, where the hope of promise flows. From a world of broken voices, still a single Savior grows. And the Lord came down, saw the tower rising high, a monument of glory built beneath the fading sky. He scattered every tongue, turned their speech into the wind. But His mercy shaped the nations as His story rose again. A promise runs through ages, God will gather us again. He left behind his father's house, he left his native land, a stranger on the road with a promise in God's hand. No map but faith before him, no comfort but the call to a place the Lord would show him. He rose up, gave his all, a blessing whispered over him, a future yet untold. Make of thee a nation great, a lineage of gold. Walk on, Abram, step through fear, trust the voice that brought you here. From your tent will nations rise, stars above and endless skies. God will bless, and all who bless thee too. A promise old and always true. He came to Canaan's valleys, an altar raised in praise, called on the name of the Lord through all his wandering days. At Bethel and at Hazage, he bowed and thanked the Lord. But famine drove him southward, Egypt's road was torn. Hope mixed with trembling choices, made beneath an alien sun. A shelter sought for hunger's face, a test his faith begun. Walk on, Abram, step through fear, trust the voice that brought you here. From your tent will nations rise, stars above and endless skies. God will bless, and all who bless thee too. A promise old and always true. walk on, Abram, step through fear. Trust the voice that brought you here. From your tent will nations rise, stars above in endless skies. God will bless, and all who bless thee too. A promise old and always true. Go forth, be bold, obey the sound. Get thee out, make of faith your ground. From Egypt, Abram journeyed with his household by his side, back to Bethel's sacred hilltop, where his heart was purified. Silver, gold, and blessings growing, all that God had let increase. To the altar he had built before, he called on God in peace. The land could not hold them, but the herds grew large and strife began to rise. Two families blessed it, the space was running dry. Let there be no strife, for we are brethren. Peace is worth more than the fields we're getting. Choose the land, you won't go left or right. I'll trust God's promise, I'll walk by faith, not sight. Lot lifted up his eyes and saw the Jordan shining plain, like the garden God had planted, watered green with life and rain. He chose the valley eastward, towards Sodom's growing pride, while Abram stayed in Canaan, with God standing by his side. The Lord speaks again, when Lot departed toward the plains below. God spoke to Abram, letting his promise show. Let there be no strife, for we are brethren. Peace is worth more than the fields we're getting. Choose the land, you won't go left or right. I'll trust God's promise, I'll walk by faith, not sight. Lift up your eyes, Abram. Lift up your eyes, all the land you see. North, south, east, west, I give it unto thee. Your children will be countless as the dust beneath your feet. Walk by faith, not sight. Let there be no strife, for we are brethren. Peace is worth more than the fields we're getting. Choose the land, you won't go left or right. God's word remains, his covenant is light through every step and every night. I'll walk by faith, not sight, not sight. 4 kings rose up in power, sweeping lands with iron might. They conquered every valley, every nation in their sight. But in the plains of Sodom, they seized the people in their path, and Lot was taken captive in the whirlwind of their wrath. A messenger ran swiftly to the tents where Abram stayed. He heard of Lot's deep trouble and the price that must be paid. So Abram gathered warriors, men trained and brave and true. 318 followed him to do what he must do. In the silence of the night, with courage heaven sent, they chased the kings who stole away the one whom God had blessed. For God is with the righteous in every desperate fight. He strengthens weary hands and gives the faint a Lord took them in the shadows of the land, dividing up his forces with a bold and fearless stand. He struck them in the darkness till their armies broke and fled, and light was brought back safely with the captives once thought dead. Then came the King of Salem with blessing, solemn word, and bread and wine before him in the presence of the Lord. Melchizedek proclaimed it, blessed be the Most High God. And Abram bowed in reverence, giving honor with a nod. The world may boast its kingdoms, but heaven still holds reign, for God defends his chosen through the triumph and the pain. For God is with the righteous in every desperate fight. He strengthens weary hands and gives the faint of heart new might. When darkness takes the battlefield, his mercy leads the way, and victory rises with the dawn of God's unending day. No gift from earthly kingdoms could tempt his heart to stray, for Abram knew the Holy One was portion, shield, and stay. He raised his hand to heaven, to the God who never fails, the one who guards his people when the fiercest war prevails. For God is with the righteous in every desperate fight. He strengthens weary hands and gives the faint of heart new might. When all seems lost and broken, his promises remain, and victory rises with the dawn of God's unending day. Fear not, Abram, God speaks in the night. A hush on the desert, the fire burning bright. You don't need a shield made of metal or stone, for I am your shield, your reward, yours alone. But Abram sighs, Lord, how can this be? I have no child, no heir after me. Then God whispers soft, look up at the sky, count every star shining high in the night. Just like these lights spread far and wide, so shall your children fill the earth side to side. Abram believed, his heart opened wide, and God called him righteous for the trust inside. Count the stars above, every light shows my love. When your hope feels small, I'm the God of it all. Through darkness or scars, your future shines like the stars. Yes, yeah. The Lord reminds him, I brought you here free, out of your past, so this land could be yours truly. Abram asked gently, how will I know? So God has him gather the creatures in rows, a heifer, a goat, a ram, birds for the sign, a covenant ready, a promise divine. falls and dread fills the air, but God speaks hope while Abram lies there. Your children will wander in lands not their own 400 years, yet they won't be alone. I'll bring them back with treasures untold, and you'll rest in peace when your story is old. A blazing torch, a smoking flame, moves through the pieces and seals God's name. The covenant stands, nothing can sever the land God promised, lasting forever. From river to river, His word remains true, a promise for Abram carried through you. Sarah's heart is aching, years of silence, years of tears. The promise feels so distant after all these waiting years. She turns to Hagar saying, go, perhaps I'll build a family there. And Abram listens quietly, the weight thick in the air. Hagar bears a son, but sorrow rises like a flame. Sarai feels despised, and the peace is not the same. The desert holds her story, where she runs in fear and pain. But heaven bends to find her, calling gently by her name. For God sees the broken, He hears every cry. In the wilderness moments, His mercy is nigh. Though the promise feels distant, His faithfulness stays. He finds us, He knows us, He meets us always. Hagar kneels beside a fountain in the lonely desert heat. An angel speaks with kindness, with compassion soft and sweet. Return and bear your son, call his name Ishmael. For God hath heard your misery, and He knows your every help. She names the Lord El Roy, the God who sees my life. She rises with new courage from the sorrow and the strife. The God who meets the hurting, the God who knows our way. He lifts the weary wanderer and turns their night to day. For God sees the broken, He hears every cry. In the wilderness moments, His mercy is nigh. Though the promise feels distant, His faithfulness stays. He finds us, He knows us, He meets us always. He sees the lonely mother, He sees the promise torn, but still He writes His story through the weary and the worn. For God sees the broken, He hears every cry. In the wilderness moments, His mercy is nigh. He finds us in shadows, gives hope in our days. The God who sees forever still guides our way. 99 and weary, walking roads he's always known. Abram hears a voice of thunder, yet it speaks with gentle tone. I am Almighty God, he calls, walk before me and behold, a covenant of promise rising, written deep in Abram's soul. He falls down in holy wonder as God speaks his sacred plan. A father of all nations now, formed from one devoted man. His name no more is Abram, destiny shifting like the sand. Abraham shall be your name, for nations rest within his hand. Legacy awakening where weary hope had died. A future shaped by heaven that no fear can override. Your covenant stands forever, your promise stronger than the stars. You call the old and broken and write new futures on our scars. From Abram into Abraham, your word restores, your voice commands, and every oath you speak remains, for your covenant forever stands. God says, oh Abraham, hear me, this covenant's for all your life. King shall rise from Sarah's womb, a miracle by design. Though her laughter shakes the silence, my promise will still unfold. For Isaac shall be born to you, a joy no doubt can hold. And every male among them marked, a sign of promise sealed with grace. A people set apart for God, a chosen holy place. Ishmael too is blessed with life, with nations rising from his name. But Isaac carries covenant, the promised child who came. Grace that reaches generations, written by the Father's hand. A story born in barren places, only God could understand. Your covenant stands forever, your promise stronger than the stars. You call the old and broken and write new futures on our scars. From Abram into Abraham, your word restores, your voice commands, and every oath you speak remains, for your covenant forever stands. You change our names, you change our hearts, you mark our lives, you set apart. When hope seems gone, your mercy stays, your word outlives our numbered days. A covenant of endless grace, 1,000 blessings in one phrase. I will be your God forever and always. Your covenant stands forever, your promise shining through the night. From dust you form a nation and turn forgotten into light. From Abram into Abraham, your faithfulness builds every land, and every oath you speak remains, your covenant forever stands. Your covenant forever stands. In the heat of the day, Abram looked up and saw 3 strangers standing near. He hurried in awe, rest under this tree. Let me bring you bread. With a generous heart, every word that he said. Sarah baked the flour, Abram offered the feast, and the strangers revealed a promise of peace. Next year Sarah's arms will hold a son, a miracle spoken, God's promise begun. Nothing is too much for God. He speaks, the impossible moves. Hope comes alive, His promise survives. He's faithful in all that He proves. Nothing is too much for God. Sarah heard from the tent and quietly laughed. How can this be? My years have passed. But God gently asked, why doubt my word? Is anything too much for the Lord? Then God revealed the fate of the land. Sodom's great outcry had reached His hand. Abraham drew near with a pleading cry. Will the righteous perish as the wicked die? 50, 40, 30, then 10. Abraham begged again and again. And God said yes to each humble plea, promising mercy if 10 righteous would be. Nothing is too much for God. He speaks, the impossible moves. Hope comes alive, His promise survives. He's faithful in all that He proves. Nothing is too much for God. 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 Two angels walk through Sodom as the shadows fill the street. Light rises up to meet them, offering refuge, food, and peace. A city drowning in corruption, where compassion's grown so thin. Yet in the darkness of the night, God's mercy steps right in. And the warning shakes the silence. They will fall before the dawn. But even judgment carries mercy. God is reaching, calling on. Run from the fire, run from the past. Grace is the shelter that's holding you fast. And when everything crumbles and the night grows wild, God still delivers the ones He calls His child. Don't look back, just follow His light. For mercy is waiting on the edge of the night. The angels take Him by the hand, because fear slows down their stride. A family pulled towards safety, even when their hearts divide. A city's final morning rises, heavy, red, and grim. But the God who judges evil still makes a path for them. And the mountains call with freedom, while the valley burns behind. The fire falls, the smoke ascends, yet God is still kind. Run from the fire, run from the past. from the past. Grace is the shelter that's holding you fast whenever everything crumbles and the night grows wild. God still delivers the ones He calls.